In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to do a full AI audit in 2026. An AI audit is a way for you as an AI agency or as a business to look into a given business and map out all the workflows, find out where the pain points are, and see where AI can actually fit in. I'm going to be going through today how we actually run through an AI audit, what the steps are, and what the outcomes are that we're going to get from an AI audit. First, going to look into what an AI audit actually is. So an AI audit is a structured discovery piece where we look at a business, we look at their workflows, we look at where their pain points are, we look at where the opportunities are for where AI can actually fit in. Now, what an audit allows us to do is to find these pain points. So we're not implementing AI for the sake of it, but we're actually targeting pain points that the businesses have, and we can bring a real ROI. If you do an AI audit really well as an agency, you're going to be able to have a really good framework that you can go to these businesses with, and you can say, we've done this AI audit, and now it makes it a really easy decision for them to go into development. Let's look into the reasons that why we actually want to do an AI audit. So if you're coming from the perspective of an AI agency, there's a few different reasons. One is that you get your foot in the door with every new client that you meet. So it's a really easy way to do some work up front for free, or you can do it for paid if you want. And you map out what their business looks like from top to bottom. It means it's a really easy way for the business to allow you to do some work, and without actually implementing anything or bringing any risks, they can see that where they can use AI in their business. Now, businesses want to implement AI, but they really have no idea, most of them, where to do it. So this is a really good way to solve that problem. It also allows you to do a lot of the foundation work that you would be doing on development projects anyway. So you're going to go into every project knowing exactly what the business looks like and exactly where you need to implement the solution. And on top of that, it also allows you to become a bit of a transformation partner for these businesses. So once you've identified all of the problems that they've got across their business and you've implemented the first couple of quick win solutions, it then allows you to build on that to the longer, bigger projects. For business owners, this can also be a really useful framework. It means if you do this yourself or internally, you know exactly what you're looking for when you're going out to these AI agencies to actually help you implement the solutions. For probably the most important reason, it's going to allow you to develop a long list of opportunities which you can prioritize going forward. Now, that's what an AI audit is and why we're doing it. So now let's go into the framework for actually how we carry these out. So the framework consists of the following. We have a 3-step process. The first one is to map what the business looks like, what the pain points are, what the workflows look like. The next step is to prioritize these opportunities, and we're going to do that in a matrix, which we'll come on to. And the final step is to build a strategic roadmap. So we've got all of this long list of opportunities, and now we want to build a really good roadmap for this business, starting with the quick wins, and then we can go on to the bigger budget projects. So the first step, and probably one of the most important, is mapping the business. It consists of a few different parts. So we've got workflow analysis, which is where we want to understand what their workflows look like, what their work streams look like, and we're going to do this across all different departments. We then want to get into some stakeholder meetings. So we want to be interviewing people from all around the business, whether that be people on the ground level, whether that be the CEO, whether that be the department heads. We want to get a really good picture of what everyone's opinions are of where they think AI can fit in. Now, in those meetings, we're going to do quite a bit of pain point discovery. So we're going to identify where these workers feel that they're wasting time every day on manual processes that AI could easily automate. And the final really important part that we need to identify in the business is the current tech stack they're using. Now, this is important because a lot of the AI automations that you want to bring in are going to have to integrate to their current tech stack. We don't want to be building outside of this and creating more problems than we're actually bringing solutions. Now, as I mentioned, you need to hold meetings with various people across the business. So these include people like the business owner, the department leads, and the people that are actually on the ground floor. And it's really important that you do interview the people on the ground floor, because these are the ones that are doing the work every day and actually experience a lot of this manual workload. And some key questions to ask are things like, where did your day slow down? What task are you doing on repeat? And what would save you the most time? So these are some really key questions to ask to all of these different stakeholders. Another part that's really important in this first step is to actually put some numbers on things for how long they are currently taking. So things like time, cost, volume, error rate, and speed. These are all really good indicators, and these allow you to map what the before likes. So once you implement the AI solution, you can have a really good after picture, and you can see if you've brought some real value. So things like if you're doing some CV screening, and this currently takes 3 hours per role, and there's 8 roles per month to be filled, that's 24 hours of time that is wasted per month. Or if you're doing this in terms of money, that's 1,800 that's lost per month. And this really shows where the business is losing money or time, and really shows that there's a current problem that needs to be addressed. So once we've mapped out the business, we can now go on to step 2, where we actually start plotting some of these opportunities on what we call a value difficulty matrix. Now, from those meetings, and once you've mapped out the business, you're going to have a long list of opportunities that you think the business could implement with AI. But not all of these opportunities are equal. Some are easier than others, some bring more value than others, and this is exactly why we have the value difficulty matrix. Now, what the value difficulty matrix allows us to do is plot these opportunities in 4 different quadrants. Now, what the quadrants look like when we actually plot these on, as you can see on screen, is we have quick wins, strategic plays, low priority, and avoid. Now, what this allows us to do is map these opportunities into these different quadrants, which will further then allow us in our roadmap part, which is step 3, to decide what we're going to tackle in which order. So from this long list of opportunities you have, you want to start moving this to the matrix here. And really what we want to be focusing on is the top half. It's the quick wins and the strategic plays. The bottom half we kind of don't want to be paying too much attention to, or we don't want to be actually going ahead with these opportunities as they're not going to bring that much value. But for the top half, our quick wins and our strategic plays, these are what we're going to be actually looking at to implement in the business. So once you've mapped all the opportunities over to this matrix that we've got here, we're going to go on to our next step. And this is where we are going to start to build our phased implementation roadmap. So at this point, what we can do is we can give back to the business a roadmap of what it's going to look like when we implement each of these AI solutions over time. So for phase 1, we're going to start with the quick wins, which is going to happen over the first month or 2. And this is going to allow the business to see some really high value opportunities that can get implemented relatively quickly. This is going to build trust, confidence, and ultimately the foundation for you to build onto bigger, higher budget projects. Then we go into phase 2, where we start tackling, again, really high value opportunities, and there might be some more quick wins, but now we're starting to transition into some big projects as well. And this is going to happen over months 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the timeline may be. And then going into phase 3 is when at this point you've built a load of trust with the business, or if you're the business yourself, you've built trust within your organization, and now you can go into implementing some big projects that are actually going to transform how your business really works. But it's important here that we always start with the quick wins. If you try to tackle the big projects first, you're going to get into a place where you're probably not going to be able to implement them successfully, and people are going to be against AI, and you're going to end up being a business that doesn't implement AI in this new wave. So that's what the framework looks like from start to finish. Now I'm actually going to work through a made up example here for you so you can see what this looks like with a company. So this is a recruitment company called NorthStar Recruitment. I've just made it up, but you can see from these numbers and kind of this case study how this would look like in practice. So NorthStar is a fictional UK recruitment agency with 18 staff, and they place candidates in both tech and finance, and they've got a lot of manual processes, and it's in a fast moving market. So as you can see on the screen, we've got 18 staff members, we've got 2 sectors, we've got a load of manual processes such as CV screening, scheduling, job ads, and they're all done by hand. And this is a fast scaling growing company. So step 1 for this recruitment company, once you've mapped out what all the workflows look like, you've had meetings with all different stakeholders, they found that there's a few tasks that really emerge. So some major pain points were CV screening. They were spending 3 to 4 hours per role manually reviewing CVs. There was no filtering or any type of scoring system in place. The next one was interview scheduling. So they were constantly going back and forth with candidates, wasting loads and loads of time to actually book in meetings for interviews. The next one was job ad creation. So whenever they get a job in, they'd have to manually write this from scratch. Even if they were using ChatGPT, this was still a manual process, so they'd have to write this up, edit it, make sure it's in the right format, any pictures they wanted to put with it, things like that. And the final one they identified was warm candidate re-engagement. So they may have had some candidates in the past that they could be really good fits for new job roles that have come in, but they don't have any way of actually re-engaging these candidates. These are the 4 big pain points that they've identified during this audit. Now, step 2 is where they go to mapping these opportunities to our value difficulty matrix. So firstly, we start with the quick wins. So we've got our AI CV screening tool and our job ad generator. These are both really easy to implement and will bring a lot of value really quickly. Now, our next high value box, but is also going to be high difficulty, is the AI candidate matching engine. Now, this might be something that brings a lot of value, but it's going to take a lot of time and should be done after we've actually implemented our quick wins. Now, if we look at our bottom half, we've got the low value, which is kind of what we really want to avoid. So we've got things like automated social media posting and also full end-to-end AI recruitment replacement. Now, these are both kind of scenarios that we want to avoid, use cases that we want to avoid, and we're going to stick with our top half that we've got. And now we go on to step 3, which is actually putting this on a roadmap. So for NorthStar, we've decided that within the first month, we're going to start deploying our AI CV screening tool, and we're going to set up AI job generator templates. This is going to set up an estimated saving of 6 to 8 hours per consultant per week, and it's going to bring lots of value immediately. Then in our next phase, phase 2, we're going to automate interview scheduling with a calendar integration. And this is going to bring an estimated impact of a 40% reduction in scheduling admin. And now finally in our phase 3, in months 4 to 6, we're going to build and integrate AI candidate matching engines. And this is estimated to bring in a 30% faster placement. So that is what it looks like with a actual worked example. So hopefully that made a lot of sense to you and you can see what that looks like in practice. But here are some of the principles that you want to make sure that you keep in mind when you're actually doing these AI audits. Now, firstly, a good audit or an AI audit is not about AI at all. It's about understanding the business and then applying the right tools to solve the problems that you found. You want to start with the people and not the tools. It's important that you actually talk to the stakeholders and identify where they feel that they're wasting time every day. It's also important that we start with the quick wins first. If we start with those high budget, high ticket projects, it's going to mean that we actually probably are not going to implement them effectively and we're going to be wasting time, energy, and resource. And also, it's really important that we measure outcomes. If we don't measure before and after, we can't see if we've actually implemented something successfully. So that's everything. Hopefully you've got a really good idea of how to do an AI audit now. I've done this for multiple different businesses and it allows you to get a really good idea of what their business looks like. And it means when you go into development, you've got an idea of how you're going to implement a solution successfully. So remember, these are the 4 steps that we need. Start with the business, map what it looks like currently, prioritize these different opportunities, and then build the roadmap. Now, if you want access to this presentation, it's going to be available in my free school community, which I'm going to have the link in the description. And if you are a business yourself and you want to have an AI audit done, go to the link in my description as well, where I'm going to have a link to a discovery call and you can book in with me and we can talk about how this might look like for you. That's everything. If you found this useful, please hit the like and subscribe button and I'll be back again in the next video.